This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
The timeless comedy of Laurel and Hardy is now available for the first time ever in the U.S.
That's a pretty smart thought.
in one extraordinary 10-disc set. Laurel and Hardy, The Essential Collection. 58 sound shorts and features from the Hal Roach Library.
Well, here's another nice mess you've gotten me into.
Digitally remastered, digitally restored, and transferred in high definition for the first time anywhere.
And on the other hand,
Featuring the Academy Award-winning short film, The Music Box. With over 2 hours of all-new bonus features, including an interactive film locations map, never-before-seen interviews with comedy legends Jerry Lewis, Tim Conway, and Dick Van Dyke.
They set the tone for comedy teams forever.
boys will be boys.
Bring home the greatest films from the most beloved comedy team of all time, like you've never seen them before, in the finest quality available to date.
That's all there is. There isn't any more. Is there, Stanley? No, that's our story, and we're stuck with it.
Laurel and Hardy, The Essential Collection. Available October 25th.
We're talking about all kinds of comedy duos. They're just like, yeah, it's like, I just knew we were going to do a tribute to these guys someday. And it's like, yeah, who better than the duo that is Laurel and Hardy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I grew up watching them on Sunday mornings. We had a local station who would play like the black and white ones, and because they're all black and white, duh. But all the comedy things, like they had W.C. Fields, they had Laurel and Hardy, they had some Abbott and Costello, and that's where I really learned an appreciation for the progenitors of the comedy that we have today. Laurel and Hardy, for me, was a very special one. I mean, think about the comedy duos and the comedy duo makeups that you had, especially in that time frame. You had the straight man, and then you had the one who would deliver all the jokes, be super funny all the time, and
right.
And Laurel and Hardy kind of broke that mold, because you still had Oliver Hardy being the straight man. Stan Laurel is the guy who will make you laugh every time, but there were also moments where Hardy got a chance to be a little whimsical, and that broke the mold as far as the comedy duo side of it was. And there's also something else that I found very interesting, especially when you consider some of the other duos and what they did and how they felt about each other after a little while. You can't tell there was a genuine affection between the two of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Hardy was definitely a more bitter, I would say, Moe from the Three Stooges. While Laurel was definitely the bright, shining light. And I was lucky enough in the 2000s, there were a bunch of DVD collections with making of featurettes and everything. And much like Little Rascals, it definitely made me fall in love with that kind of RKO, MGM kind of vaults.
And I'll have to bring up the Little Rascals later, because there was a point that I kind of think about when I was thinking about the Dead End Kids, but we'll get to that later.
Yes.
But but the cool thing was that with Laurel and Hardy, like I said, there was that genuine affection. They weren't over the top. They literally could be the everyman. Because and that's kind of what helped make them funny. And I wish I could remember the phrasing exactly right, but it was something along the lines of Oliver would have a great plan, and then Stan would go say, "And our wives would be none the wiser." Just that little turn of a phrase, just I don't know what it was. It always makes me laugh a little bit.
And they're instantly recognizable with their top hats and canes. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that one biography with them in it was like John C. Riley was there, and then uh I forget who else was playing Laurel, but um I think a lot of people who saw it said they did a good job recreating the characters,
Yeah,
the individuals.
yeah. And when it comes to Laurel and Hardy, that the look is one thing, but there's still that element that you have to nail, and that is, excuse me,
Mhm.
have to nail just the general attitude.
Okay, it
When
was
they
Steve Coogan who played him. Okay.
Yeah, Steve Coogan.
All right.
Now, like I said, there are, and John C. Riley, the two of them. I have nothing but praise for either one of them.
That's great.
They are phenomenal, and they know what to do. They know how to do it, and they do it so well.
That's good because I mean it's got to be hard body language to replicate.
Yeah, unless you want to throw yourself into the role like Val Kilmer did with the Doors. That
Live it. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But
I'll be in my trailer.
Yeah, there's a whole there are so many different levels to Laurel and Hardy. Obviously, a little bit of slapstick, a little bit of the quote unquote normal comedy, some of the situational comedies, but just generally, they were the everyman, and you could see them. You'd say, "Hey, that guy is just like my friend Joe." Or that's like my worker Steve, and I think that just added to why they're beloved.
Yeah, I have yet to encounter anyone who hated them, but it was be pretty hard to actually make a case for. I can't stand them; they're unlikable, you know. And since they were in the silent film era, they did so good at just the title cards were just as funny as the actual physical comedy that was seen, and
Yeah,
it was just a camaraderie that you want to look forward to. And much like a lot of these, you know, Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton era, it was interesting seeing MGM and Fox market them as, hey, they're going to go into this kind of wacky thing, and they're going to have all kinds of other just wacky adventures that you're just going to be like, how are they going to get out of this? And because again, everyday person thrust into just bizarre situations. And yeah, lots of shorts. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you ahead.
There's lots of shorts to their name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a bigger individual on it might say which era they like a bit more, but for me, it kind of runs a lot together. But
yeah, and you're right. And you also brought up a very good point about the silent movie era. I mean, that plays as much into the comedy as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are some things you have to do when you don't have the element of sound. And even after you do get sound, there's exaggeration. There's things that make things just that much funnier. Laurel Hardy, Laurel Hardy had that down in spades. Just Stan Laurel could make you crack up with just a look. That's how good he was.
Mm-hmm. Just that before we had memes saying WTF, he kind of had that what's going on look.
Yeah. Or the classic one that I always love is when he's kind of mock crying. Laurel and Hardy, that you don't get to see too much of that style of comedy anymore these days.
No.
And I mean, can you really point at any two people who would be able to do anything like that consistently?
Not really.
without I mean,
and first you would have to even get a competent crew who can recreate that silent film era look without it being a forced homage. Yeah.
Yeah, and just having the people who you could get along with for that length of time.
Yeah.
Closest ones I can think of in modern times has been Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly.
They could try that, especially since Riley already tried it. I did see that Dick Van Dyke was a big fan.
Oh yeah,
implemented into his act, which makes sense. But I saw other fans of it include Lucille Ball, Peter Sellers, Steve Martin, John Cleese, authors J.D. Salinger and Kurt Vonnegut, Alec Guinness of all people, and yeah, playwright Samuel Beckett, Jerry Lewis. I'm like, geez, okay.
It'll be long. Now there's a name I haven't heard for quite some time.
That galaxy far away. Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, everybody's so quick about everything. You would have to have like a good platform, and you would still have to have people who are still there's still some kind of fear that runs into their comedy, because if there is no stakes that they can implement into it, it's just going to be, I think it's going to be too much about can you recreate the icon, but it's not necessarily funny either way. I think that there would be some other process that you would have to find the comedy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you force it, it's going to come out. There's no way you can say, well, we can kind of get close to what Laurel and Hardy did, or Abbott and Costello, or Burns and Allen. We're going to go as close as we can, but then the rest of the time you're just forcing it. You either have it or you don't.
Mm-hmm. And the cinematographer picks up everything. Just saying.
Absolutely,
including forced acting. So.
Yeah, but like we mentioned, I'm not surprised that Dick Van Dyke was a fan of Laurel and Hardy. You
makes
kind of,
sense.
Yeah, but it also makes sense because you can kind of see some of the same mannerisms especially from the Laurel part. You can kind of see that in facial expressions and the way he does things, even today.
With the eyebrows.
Dick Van Dyke, Dick Van Dyke got it. That's the best way I can put it.
He pretty much was doing the Gene Kelly dancing routine, but he's definitely got the Laurel look.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man. And kudos to anyone who's seen every single short they've done, because like they'll replay them on all kinds of places. You know, Turner Classic Movies is always going to have something like that. AMC, I'm sure, but it's also one of those like they did so much repackaging of them. You can pretty much find all of them soon. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch on YouTube. It's just whenever you're in the mood, just put some of this on. And I think, again, because it is a physical seeing kind of thing, it's still something you can entertain various eras of.
You can't really imagine them doing a comedy album. Because so much, it would be funny, no doubt, but
Laurel, you're driving me crazy. Shut up.
So much of it is visual, and like I mentioned earlier, because of the silent film era, you had to be more visual with your comedy.
Yeah,
because you didn't always have the luxury of being able to drop that punchline.
Do you ever notice any recurring themes? It seems like from all the years I've seen them, there's always like someone who gets stuck in an elevator or who falls off. But that's like kind of a go-to with all these kinds of comedies. Someone falls to their death or there's a party disruption on a ship.
Yeah, there's one that I think is more common, but maybe I'm completely off about it. But Hardy comes up with a plan, like a plan to make some money or whatever, and Laurel goes along with it, and there's hijinks that will ensue. So I like I said, that's the one more common ones that I've seen, but I could be completely off as far as the sheer number of times that actually happened.
I didn't realize that. I mean, it makes sense when you look at it, but Another Fine Mess from 1930 is actually a remake of 1927's Duck Soup.
Oh, there you go.
Fire forest rangers, and yeah, I not to be confused with the Marx Brothers Duck Soup from years later. But
I was going to say, if you're going to rip off anybody, rip off the Marx Brothers.
Do it. Who's going to be the Chico equivalent?
And Greg Giraldo needed the money. That's 2 weeks in a row I did that in place of JJ. So
yeah, what the hell? What the hell are you doing here? The guy who actually does the recreation of the recreation.
That's what I do. I do impressions. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
Hey, it's a good try.
We'll return after these messages.
Howdy folks, Hal Shack here. We got a 90-minute weekly Shack Stop. It's growing all over the world. Find it at 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Mondays, then 3 p.m. on Wednesdays, then 7 p.m. on Thursdays. You can catch it on many more radio stations, 99.9 KERB, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. Then catch the encore on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Then catch it Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Central on 107.7 K-Twins. Then hang out with us Wednesday afternoons on MXTR and House Shack Radio, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Then Thursday, get up bright and early with us on 95.7 Web Radio at 6 a.m. Pacific Time, 9 a.m. Eastern. Of course, we've got the Friday covered as well. 12 p.m. Eastern Time on MXTR FM and 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central, 107.7 K-Twins. Find everything on HalShack.com. HalShack.
If you like small-town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a jacked up